Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm Jersey Ed, and today is going to be a great show. We're going to be talking about our Roar trip. I have two great guests on, two of the finalists in the Roar trip, I guess. No, two of the people who we kayaked down the Delaware with. But before I do that, I just want to let everybody know that please like us on here, whatever media you're whatever social media or whatever platform you're listening to us on. Please like us here. Make sure you get the updates, and please listen weekly. We always have a great show. Also, we're on Instagram. I don't know nothing about Instagram, guys, so just do something with Instagram and come on here. I know we're on there too, but Facebook, I know Facebook. I'm sure you guys were getting all our Facebook updates. I try to give one in the morning and one at night. I think one day I didn't give a Facebook update because we had no service. We were off the grid, and these guys will probably talk more about that too. But Facebook, we're available on at Friends in Recovery Adventures. That's who Ronnie and John are part of our Facebook Adventures group. Also Friends in Recovery Communities and Friends in Recovery Alumni, the Genesis House alumni. So like us on any of those pages. The other thing, guys, too, we gave away 2 mugs last month, 2 Friends in Recovery podcast mugs, and the winners got them, or actually they're being mailed out today. But the new contest this week, and it's not a contest. All I want you to do is email me your sobriety date and give me a sober shout out. Email everything to help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. That's help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. And just say, give a little shout out. Make sure you put your sobriety date in there, and I'll read it on the air. And at the end of the month, I'm going to pick one person to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So Johnny and Ron, make sure you guys are eligible. If you're in recovery. If you're not in recovery, send me an email anyways. I'll put you in there. Anyway, so that's about it right now for all that stuff. But we are giving away a $50 Amazon gift card from Friends in Recovery Podcast. So now on with the show, guys. I'd like to introduce Ronnie Mullins, who was one of our rowers, as I call them, or oars.
Rowers.
Rowers.
Still doesn't have vocabulary.
That's right. And John Reagan, who is John was amazing. Everybody was amazing on this trip, guys. And we all pulled together. We kind of reflected the last day we were there. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but sitting around a fire, we really kind of reflected on everything. But I want to know what you guys thought of this trip, because I know in my head what I thought of it, and I kind of let everybody out about it, in my kind of my vlogging or whatever you want to call it, my Facebook Live. I kind of let everybody know what I felt about it, but I really didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about it, and our audience haven't heard from you guys. So Ronnie, what was your thoughts on all this craziness, and did you think we were going to do it? What was your thoughts on all that?
Well, when I started, when I first got sober, I honestly thought my life was over. I thought that I was just going to be spending the rest of my life sitting in rooms, meetings, not having a good time, because the only way I knew how to have a good time was to get wasted. And I started to take risks. I was told to take risks in the beginning. And I just, a lot of the time, if these risks are not easy to take alone, or you shouldn't take them alone. So I'm just so grateful to have you guys to be able to do these things. I have to say it was really spiritual experience. We had a lot of laughs. But those moments when, you're on the river and the sun catches it just the right way, or you see like all of a sudden an eagle takes off right in front of you. Being having the adrenaline rush when you go through the rapids, just like all of it. This is where I feel the closest to my higher power.
Mm.
I, you know, I I know that there is an awesome power when you see this stuff. You don't really know people until you actually live with them, right? So the four of us, I thought we got along really well. We had our few moments, because also when you're out doing things like this, your character defects can come up, and you get to know yourself. I think it's a good thing though, because then you can start to, to work on some of that stuff. But yeah, I think the trip went well. I knew it was going to go well. I was hoping we could finish the 72 miles, but it happened the way it was supposed to happen. Everybody was safe. Everybody had a good time. John, like you said, amazing. First time ever in a kayak. And he got in there and he was like a trooper going down. A little lopsided the first day, but after that, everything was done.
Yeah, go check out those pictures on Facebook. They're on Facebook.
And then, being at the campsite with you guys and just laughing and getting to know each other. And there were uncomfortable moments, but recovery is about being uncomfortable, not sitting in your comfort zone. Being soggy, all week was a little uncomfortable, but we dealt with it and we survived it. And you leave, like I always leave a trip like this feeling, more confident, more confident in myself, more confident in in the world. I just, and this trip definitely did that for me.
Well, Ronnie, you brought up we had moments, and it's our character defects. Nobody's perfect. And when I was drinking, I know when I was drinking, I wanted to control everybody. I wanted to tell everybody how to do it, when to do it, where to do it. I do that sometimes to an extent, but not as bad as I used to. And I'm not drunk anymore when I tell you to go fucking do it or whatever, you know what I mean? But you're right. We worked through those moments. We worked through our character defects and we grew through them. We grew through them. The thing that I noticed, and I love how you brought these moments up is like, as we were putting our boats in and John was getting in the water, and he'll tell us about this. I want everybody to know the beginning, right from the beginning, when you sat your ass in that fucking boat and what your thoughts were, because it's amazing. You have to see some of the pictures. Go on Facebook, Friends in Recovery Facebook, and you'll see adventures. You'll see some of that. But we just I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't know how I was going to interact with everybody. John's my best friend from growing up. Ronnie, I've known and worked with her for God knows how long. And Doug, I mean, Ronnie, we know each other 25 years at least. And Doug's my cousin, but I still didn't know you guys. You know what I mean? And once we got together, I'm like, well, is this going to work? Is it going to work? And that craziness that some of us think of, but it did work. And those character defects came together and we helped each other through each one of them. And this is, I'll read this more towards the end of the show, something that I journaled this morning. And we all had a position in the whole trip. Each one of us had something to do with us getting to where we need to be. There wasn't one person more important than the other in this trip. If we plucked out one, this fucking trip would have failed. If we plucked in another one, I believe this trip would have failed. This trip was meant to be the way it was meant to be. And we kind of gelled all together. Not saying that next year we can't have more people. I'm just saying this is the way it was supposed to be. So thank you for bringing that up. And then you also brought up connections. We all connected, once we got to that first campsite, we all connected. We all got, we all kind of figured out who's going to do what and how this is going to happen. And Ronnie yelling at us for our boats, touching her boat. And we'll tell a little story on that too. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so that's some of the thoughts that I was thinking of, and it just worked out perfectly. John, now what's your thoughts on this? From you were the novice here, you were the most inexperienced. I mean, at least I had 2 days on a kayak, which isn't much more than what you had. But John, just to let you guys know, John never sat in a kayak even before we got there. I think he probably paddled packed and went to fucking REI before the day before, or maybe even that morning he might have got a bunch of shit too. I'm not sure, but I know John, and I'm guessing that might be. So, John, give me your thoughts on everything.
Yeah, as far as like preparation and stuff, I've gone down the Delaware River at least 10 to 15 times, whether it was in a canoe or a raft. So, getting the kayak and stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's just like a skinnier canoe is what my thought was. And it's pretty amazing for me how, you start talking about an idea. We're going to go down the Delaware River. Because Ed, you mentioned this to me like last year, you wanted to do a little something, put a trip together, and then we were talking about it, and just to get a group of people together and actually plan it, and have a starting point and an ending point, and some kind of plans. And the funny thing with plans, sometimes they don't work out the way you wanted them to work out, but in the end, things always work out.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have a plan for the most part that, we followed through for the most part. Few hitches here and there, especially like in the beginning, our meeting point had a festival going on, to where we were supposed to load in and we had to find a parking lot. And, that's the thing with adversity. Sometimes you got to be a little resilient and figure it out, as you go. And we did. We got our boats together. I kind of joked that I fear packed a little bit.
You did fear pack, John.
Because I've gone backpacking and you don't want to carry too much. So I figured my boat is like a car. I'm going to load this thing up and, I'm going to have more than what I need. I'm not going to run out of anything. And if someone else needs something, I have extra for everybody. So I call it fear packing. I had no idea. I almost sunk my boat with all that stuff, especially in the back, not knowing how to pack it. And Ed, you mentioned, my face when I first got in my boat and put it in. I was on land and I was trying to shove off and stuff, and I finally sat down and I almost tipped over. My first thought was, holy shit, this is not a canoe. It was totally different, total different feel to it, your balance and stuff. And then, I'm paddling down and you're all looking at my boat with slight concern on your face. I'm like, I'm good now, I'm floating good. And then I turn around and the back of my boat is in about this much, deep water. My back end was out there. And like Ed said, if you do look at the, the pictures that are on Facebook, you'll see, my back end is, kind of in the water or almost in the water. Because I didn't know how to pack it. And what we did was we adjusted the next day. We put a lot more weight in the front. I put more bags out in the front, and my butt end of my kayak was able to come up, which made it a lot easier for paddling. Because I joked at night on our first day that I was doing a wheelie all the way down the Delaware River and stuff. And that's kind of what it looked like. It was a little hard to paddle and the balance and stuff, but you'll live and learn. By the next day, I got some advice from my engineer Ronnie, and she helped me put things in the right place, and it was a lot easier paddling the second day. The boat kind of cut through the water, a lot easier and stuff. And like Ed was mentioning, we all work together. I mean, I've known Ed for 43 years. Ed's Doug's cousin. Ed and I went to school together, so Ed's cousin Doug, I've known for just about that long too, through family events and whatnot. And I've known Ronnie for about 11 years. So it's not like we didn't know anybody, but like Ronnie said, when you're actually spending, 6 days and 5 nights
Mm-hmm.
with the same people, you kind of get to know them a little better.
Yeah.
Because you don't wake up with people, you wake up in the morning, sit back, let them have their coffee first and stuff like that. And, Ed and I are a little more energetic in the morning, and,
Oh yeah.
we wake up running,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And I don't.
But for me, the trip was, I needed to do it, with the work that I do. And it was just nice to get out in nature with good people. And we all did our thing. We all, had strengths in different areas and stuff like that. And,
Absolutely.
although I don't have a lot of experience on a kayak and stuff, I do have experience as a sense of humor. So
Yes, absolutely.
hopefully I lighten people's moods when, we hit rain every night. We were fortunate enough to set up between the raindrops, I guess you could say. It didn't rain on us when we put our camp together.
Mm.
And, there was a downpour that first night. And, I learned a lot about ventilation for a tent. I had condensation. It was dripping on me. I was panicking. I'm screaming in here and all kind of stuff. So, you live and learn.
Yeah.
But we all had our special spot, to help each other along. And we all had each other's back. If somebody had to pull over, there was always somebody there watching, make sure that they got in the boat. We all helped carry boats, and it was a team effort. And
Absolutely.
for me, just to get out there and away from things, and to hear the eagles in the morning and to actually see them, with the baby eagle following the mom, and it was a peaceful place for me.
Yeah.
And going through the rapids, we hit some really big ones, especially the last day, and the adrenaline that you get, and you're digging your feet in the pegs and getting blisters on your toes because of the wrong shoes, and limping the next couple of days, and all that stuff it's fun. It was an experience, and I'm really glad that I got to share it with all of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm glad we got to share the experience with you too, guys. You too, John, and everybody. And Doug's not here. But John, as you were speaking, I was kind of paralleling recovery with your kayak trip down the river. You started off a little shaky. You didn't know what you were doing. You got into a vessel you didn't know what you were getting into. When you pushed off, you were scared and hopeless. You didn't know what was going to happen. You dipped your paddle in the water. You got a couple good strokes in. You went down the river a little bit more. People kind of surrounded you and helped you, kind of gave you some guidance. Isn't that what recovery is about, right? When we first got into recovery, and if you're listening out there, if you're at the beginning of recovery, it's going to be that shaky struggle that John was talking about, before he got into the water, that anxiety and that fear of where am I going? What am I doing? But like Ronnie said at the beginning of the boat, sometimes you just got to trust and you have to take a chance, just like John did. And when we take a chance in recovery, fucking good things happen, guys. Like we stay sober, we get our families back. Sometimes we get our brains back. We get a lot of good things back. And that's what John got on this trip as we were going down. And on top of that, guys, Ronnie, myself, and Doug, and I know I got a lot back from John, watching him grow, watching him blossom, watching him take command of that boat and do what he needed to do to stay up with us. And again, I am by no means a fucking experienced kayaker, guys, but I just love to see all that. And then Ronnie and Doug, who's not here, we'll all share a little bit about Doug. But they were able to take the reins and kind of lead us through things, just like in AA. Our sponsor leads us through things. Our sponsor talks to us about things. We build a network of people who are like-minded people. We build a network of people who we trust. Right. And that's what we did here. We built this network so we can go from point A to point B. And that's basically what we're doing on a recovery. So any thoughts on that before we switch gears here?
Yeah. It's a really good analogy with, beginning recovery. Because like I said, when I first sat in that seat and almost tumbled over and, oh my God, this is not a canoe. This isn't what I thought. But as time went on, I got a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Did a couple of rapids and stuff, and got a little bit of advice and stuff like that on how to slap the water when you're tilting, and how to put your one leg in the boat and feet and that whole thing with the balance. And as time went on, I did get more comfortable, and it's like that in recovery. As time goes on, it gets a little easier. But on the last day with those big rapids, again, it was like a whole new learning experience. You have, 2 to 3 foot waves hitting the side of your boat and where to put your weight and stuff. So, sometimes like in recovery, you think things are getting easier, and then, life happens on life's terms. It'll throw a right hook at you, and you gotta adapt even more. So when you think you got it, you don't, because, life or the river will throw new things at you, and you just keep living and learning. And like I said, it was really good to be a part of this team. And, we all overcame some adversity. I mean, we joked around that we were moist all week. I mean, couldn't get things.
We were.
The sun came out very little. And, but again, we all pushed through, and, thank God for Doug, who's not here. He was the guy's like, he's comfortable in the woods.
Yeah.
He made things a lot easier on all of us, with his camping skills and stuff like that, his knowledge. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie, any thoughts on that before I do want to switch over to the topic of Doug real quick too. So.
Oh, we're going to talk about Doug. Okay.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely.
I just
He's not here. We can talk about him. Isn't that what we all do in recovery? Talk about people when they're not here. Just kidding, guys.
I just want to say that John got to the point where at one point on the river, Ed and Doug were trying to chase him down and get him wet with a squirter, and they could not catch him. No. That's how good he got on the river.
That's right. Exactly.
Just, a big thing with this trip, especially, when you're on that river and you're just, plugging along and you have to take what comes. It really is about recovery, about keeping things in the day, keeping things in the moment, and taking life on life's terms. And then at the end of the trip, when we couldn't finish the last 20 miles because of the huge rise in the water, we had to learn how to accept things as they came. Mm-hmm. And we all did. We were all able to do that.
I think I handled it the best, Ronnie.
You did all right.
We all accepted it at different times because we really did. And it's funny watching, guys, what happened was the last 20 miles of the river, there was a rapid called Foul Rift, and normally it's a class 2, and it was way up above a class 3 probably because of the release of the dam. And we made a decision. Eventually we all made the decision not to go. But Ronnie was kind of the one that was kind of the level-headed one that said, maybe we shouldn't do this. And we're like, yeah, we're going to go through. Let's do it. Let's charge through. And then I started thinking levelly. And then, so what happened was we all kind of decided at the same time, but you know what? We all came together at the same time too. We all said, okay, it's, I do want to do it, or I don't want to do it, but I know this is the right way to do it. Just like recovery, maybe I shouldn't go hang out in that bar today. Maybe I shouldn't see my old friends today. And I run it by a couple people, and maybe I did go see my old friend today, and maybe something, maybe I came this close, you know what I mean? But if we could pull ourselves together and get things going and kind of stay straight and listen to the advice that's given us and really think it through, that keeps us safe and kind of healthy. So, as I'm sitting here thinking, the river and kayaking is just like recovery. You don't know which way it's going to go. You know how it's going to spin. It's going to go up, going to go down. Is the water going to rise? Sometimes you can get water where you have to drag your boats across stuff, across rocks, So I think ROAR, recovery on a river, we changed it from recovery on a raft to recovery on a river, is an amazing analogy for life. And the one thing I did, Doug is not here, and, Doug does deserve some honor here because he, we all played our all specific roles. And again, without one, we wouldn't have this trip. But Doug was a huge on us staying dry, huge on us eating, huge on us being warm with fire, huge on us, the essentials that you don't think of, the essentials when you walk into your house and you turn your light on, that's what Doug did for us. And I really do want to thank Doug. I know you'll probably listen to this. He just couldn't be on today, but I do want to thank Doug for what he did. Very quiet in the background, but very knowledgeable and very caring and loving, that he was, that he took care of each one of us. And I felt that. And I'm just so grateful for Doug for that piece. Any thoughts on Doug, guys?
Yeah, I love Doug. He definitely was a big help, definitely made our life a lot more comfortable while we were at the campsite. Mm-hmm. And he also is the most experienced, best paddler that we had in the group. Absolutely. So I learned a lot in that area from him also.
Yeah. John, how about you?
Yeah. Because I mentioned it, a couple of minutes ago about Doug and, what he did, but what was comforting with what he did was, he would hang back, in the rapids in case somebody went over, he can get to you and stuff like that. And like I said, anytime I had to pull over, he would always take his boat and he would be waiting, upstream a little bit to make sure that I got in. And I think we all did that. We all hung around. Nobody was really by themselves. We all kept an eye on each other, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, I really appreciate everything that Doug did for us. His experience, is just tremendous. You see him look up at the sky and he just starts packing up things, and he kind of knew the weather just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Seeing where the clouds were and stuff. So
Yeah.
his experience was tremendous.
Yeah. It was amazing. So guys, well, the one thing I did want to say, Jen, when you said, we were making plans and things happen, I like this saying, and I know we all heard it in the rooms, that we make plans and God laughs. Did you guys ever hear that?
I get laughed at all the time, man.
Well, so do I, John. So do I. But I was sitting around this morning. You guys know, we've learned our routines as in the last 5 or 6 days, and as you guys know, I journal in the morning. That's my time. My whole notebook is filled up with nasty stuff about John, Ronnie, and Doug. I was writing no, I'm just kidding. That was a big joke. Are you journaling about me, Ed? They came out in the morning. So, but no, I wrote this morning that that I was grateful for each one of you, and the reason why I was grateful for each one of you, not the reason why I was grateful for each one of you, but what each one of us added to the trip. And the last night we sat around the fire and we all really reflected about what we each brought to the table. So I dug a little deeper in my soul, and I wrote a couple little things this morning about each one of us, because I knew we were going to do this podcast, and you guys really mean a lot to me, and without you guys, this dream when it came true. And I know it sounds stupid. It's a dream. Dreams are, buy a fancy house. No, fuck that, guys. This is a dream that came true for me. Really, it is. And it's a dream that I couldn't have done it by myself. I had to lean on people. I had to tell people I was weak. I had to tell people I didn't understand. I had to tell people that I need your help. That's not normal in my life. In my recovery life, it is. Yes, absolutely. Because that's what I do in recovery. But I knew that each one of you, by the time we got done, what you guys did for me in this trip. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to read it real quick, and then, if you want to share it too. Doug was prepared. He was prepared for the whole trip. Hands down. He was pulling shit out of his kayak that I couldn't even believe was in it. I think he had a fucking basement and an attic in that kayak, guys. He was just pulling everything out. He knew the river, 100% hands on. He knew the river. He knew where the spots were. He was, he knew exactly. He was spot on about everything he did. I know he wasn't everything, but he was pretty consistent as far as that goes. And the campsite and all that, he really connects with nature. And one thing I noticed about Doug out there, he's at peace out there. One thing I said, I couldn't wait to get home, right? And I said, well, it'd be nice to get home. I said something along those lines, and Doug goes, I'm home already, or why? Why? And you just looked at him, and he knew what life was about in those woods, and it was just amazing. And Ronnie, your ability to think things through, to bring us together and to make responsible decisions. That's what you did for us. Okay. Seriously. And your level-headedness was key to most of our trip for us being safe. It really was. And that I really appreciate. And that's what I seen what you did for us. And that's important in life too, to make sure we're safe, make sure that we can talk about things and get through things, either work through a drink, work through a problem, work through whatever it is. We want to be safe in life, and safe being, I'm not saying take this easier, softer way, but safely doing something that what our goal was today, and then John, he didn't spend 1 second in a kayak. Okay. Not one. I don't even think he picked the kayak off the ground at one point, but maybe that was about it. His hand might've been in the kayak. But John brought to the table adaptability, 100%. John, you adapted to that situation the minute you sat in that kayak. I seen your face, but you know what? Anybody that's sitting in that kayak, if it tilted over a little bit, would be a little bit kind of hard to, to do. But your adaptability and overcoming a solution, overcoming adversity, that's what you're really, really good at. You got in that boat and you thought things through. You were looking at people, you were trying to figure everything out and how to do this. That was and the resiliency of a situation, how you can bounce back from a rapids or maybe whatever it was. I love your resiliency that you had, and laughter. 100% hands down. You made us fucking laugh. You were the comedian in the bunch, and I really appreciate that. And I know that about you. Maybe it was unfair for me to write that because I knew you for 43 years, and I know that's what you do. That's what you've done for me for the last 43 years. And then the last thing, guys, I wasn't going to write about myself, but then I started thinking, well, that would be selfish, and that wouldn't be fair. And that wouldn't be part of a team if I did it, because it's a team here. There was 4 of us as a team, and if I didn't write about myself, and I don't mean it in a vain way. I just meant in a way that we were all all together and kind of that. But and correct me if I'm wrong. This is from my eyes. I believe that I brought leadership to the whole trip. I was able to put this trip together. I was able to coordinate things. I didn't do it myself, but I was able to kind of mold it together and bring the right players together. And then then the players picked out, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And just kind of overall orchestration of things. Ronnie, I'll tell this quick story and then we'll go. When we got to the campground, there was a woman behind the desk, and there's a woman behind the desk, and I'm told Ronnie, I said, we're not sleeping on the ground at this campground. I'm getting us a nice cabin. Okay. So I pulled the woman over. We were talking, and Ronnie's like, leave the poor woman alone. Anyways, we ended up getting a beautiful cabin with beds in it, running water, which we didn't have for the whole week, at a like almost the cost of a campsite. So that was my ability to win people over. So that's all the thoughts that I had as far as that goes. And I think all those traits that I just spoke about were brought together, and we completed this trip. Also, all those traits that I see in each one of you, I surround myself in my recovery life. I surround myself with a person in leadership. I surround myself with somebody who can bounce back from things, somebody who has the knowledge of the ins and outs of where I'm going, and somebody who can have a level head when I'm thinking fucking crazy. So that's just not my sponsor. I have a whole network of people in recovery, and that's what recovery to me is about. This river, like Ronnie said at the beginning, taught me spirituality and how to look at the river and my recovery together. So before we close, guys, any final thoughts on any of this stuff?
For me, you spoke a little bit about each person. I spoke about Doug a little bit, and I just want to bring up what Ronnie brought to the table for us. Again, the voice of reason, we called her, and just how independent and strong-willed, and to be independent and do all things on your own, and to pull your weight. There was no whining, no nothing. You took care of yourself and watched out for all of us. We really love and appreciate you for all that you did, keeping an eye on us anyway, and especially on me. So thanks, Ronnie, for that. And Ed also, like you mentioned, leadership and putting this whole thing together for us, and to make it happen. But I saw a good moment in you that I've never seen you do before. We were coming up on that last rapid, well, the second to last one, and you can hear it roaring, and you were a little bit ahead of me. And I was like, is he going first or am I? And I can kind of see your face. And it was like mine. It was like a look of concern, like, these are real here, and we're locking ourselves in the boat. And you could see like that switch go off, and it was go time for you. And you just put your head down and started to go. And I went behind you and followed your line, and you hit that first one. I was like, whoa. But I could see that aha moment for you that it's showtime. And, you just made that decision, sink or swim, we're going. Mm-hmm. So it was, it was good to see, that kind of growth in you. And the river is a big lesson, with the ups and downs. And it was, we were out there, especially along the river kayaking, those 4 days.
Yeah.
And it was a journey. And, there was good hours, bad hours, like I said, we were moist the whole time, joking around with that. But each person brought something to the table. So I'm real thankful for all of you. And, I love you all. I really do. So thanks.
Thanks, Sean. We love you too.
And I agree with everything that, both of you guys said, but I have to say that the two of you are really a comedy team. and, and hanging out with
Years,
you.
Ron.
I laughed so much. It was just a great time, but you really should go into business together or something. I don't know. But I saw a lot of growth in all of us, and the way we came together. And I am terminally independent, so I learned a little bit about that this week, to ask for help and to take it when it's offered. But I do think that you guys were trying to take care of me, and I wanted to show you that I didn't need to be taken care of.
You're good, Ronnie.
That's all.
Thanks, guys. Doug was just trying to get in, and I let him in. Oh, hold on. Let's let Doug in real quick. We're here at the end of the podcast, guys, but let's I don't know if I can't let him in. Maybe he's having a hard time. Anyways, guys, that's what happened for the week. We really did have a lot of fun. The spiritual piece of everything, just connecting with each other, learning what skills are. And, we're going to do this again. 100% hands down. Recovery on a river will happen again. Again, I change it from recovery on a raft to recovery on a river, because just the thought of that river, how recovery and the river kind of coincide with each other, and we can kind of, take those twists and turns with help along the way. And, it was from each one of you guys that we were able to do that. So recovery on a river, Roar will happen again next year. We spoke about it. We were talking about a backpacking thing, a lot of things. When you do one thing, you spawn into different crazy things, and we had some ideas, and we'll keep everybody posted. But guys, Friends Recovery Podcast, that is it for today. And remember, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and don't forget to send your emails to help@Friends Recovery Podcast to enter a chance to win a $50 Amazon card. And stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.